Next up, ladies and gentlemen, is Milan Vaishnav. And Milan is the founder of Gemstone Equity Research, and he is one of the most experienced, most mature people I have ever spoken to. So I'm really looking forward to what analysis he's providing here today. Um, he's also a daily contributor to the Economic Times and also a frequent contributor to the Financial Express. So, Milan, all you, I think your screen is up and ready already. Can we have a mic check?
A very good evening to all of you. We are at present facing an unprecedented situation globally following the outbreak of the coronavirus disease. With each passing day, the human toll is increasing, and the extent of the economic slowdown and the damage is yet to be accurately estimated and ascertained. So, to all those who have joined us a little late today, I welcome you all to the first ever Chart Summit India 2020. And this is indeed a fantastic initiative by JC Paredes and his team, and I am fortunate to be a part of that. Following the outbreak of the disease, the equity markets across the globe have witnessed a sharp and a vicious decline. If we take the case of the Indian markets, which was no different from its global peers, it has come off over 35% from its peak. So in this presentation, I shall discuss about the present situation of the domestic and the global equity markets, and we will try and take a broader analytical view to see what lies ahead of all of us in the coming days and months. I'll also try and walk you through as many charts as possible in this short 20 to 25 minute slot, and I'll try my best to keep the entire content interesting and meaningful for you all. I would be more than happy to take any questions if at all we have. But if we are at all faced with shortage of time, then I'll be more than happy to reply each one of you if you can reach out to me over my email or Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever way. So before I start, I would like to say to all the participants that if at all you find a slightest of the value in whatever we have done and tried and presented today, I would request you to try and generously donate to the cause. All of the proceeds are going to the benefit of the people who are affected by the COVID-19 disease. So I'll begin my stuff. Today we'll be discussing about tracking the fundamentals of the technicals, broader analytical view for the road ahead. Ayush has said enough with regard to my introduction, so I won't be speaking much on that, and we will begin. So, what do we intend to discuss today? We'll take a look at the long-term present technical setup of the Indian equity markets. We'll also try and see whether the long-term charts foretold the impending correction and its intensity. A likely change in structural behavior between two most important indexes of India, that is Nifty and Bank Nifty. A look at the global asset allocation landscape. This we will do to see, to try and know if the equities have at all bottomed out at present levels. And then what to expect with the equity markets going ahead from here. All right. So we will begin with this long-term view on the Nifty. This is a weekly chart, weekly 9 chart that starts from around 2004 or 5, and the last plotting is that of yesterday. If we try and decode the various formations on this chart, we can see that a low near 2500 was formed in after 2008, and after oscillating between 2500 and 3055 levels, that is after um, uh, some consolidation in this 500 odd points range, the market began a secular up move which lasted over 10 and a half to 11 years. That upward rising trend line is that upward trend is represent is represented by the red trend line that we can see on the charts. Such was the strength of the uptrend that the relative strength index was first slipped below 30 in the oversold area in 2008, and after that for the next 11 years it never slipped below 30, and it became oversold only because of the recent decline that we saw. Also, if we try and see the importance of the trend line, the red trend line that we see on the charts, it's been so important that every time the Nifty tested this trend line, there was a significant appreciation in the prices. For example, when it first tested, when the uptrend began from this point, Nifty saw an increase of 145% approximately until this level. Following a correction, second time when it tested this trend line, it saw an increase of 64% appreciation after the support of the trend line, and then again when it took support at this trend line, it saw a huge increase of almost 74%. So the importance of this long-term trend line cannot be underappreciated. Now, the recent decline that we saw, the intensity of it could not have been foretold by anyone, because nobody would have anticipated the outbreak of the disease, or the large global damage that it could have caused. But the question is, did the chart say anything about the lack of internal strength? Then the answer would be yes, because if we look at the beginning of 2018, which is shown by this green vertical line, the first high that the market formed near 11,000 was in sync, and it was well participated by the broader markets as well. But after 2018, all of the incremental highs at these points, they have uh, they have come with a continued bearish divergence on the RSI. So we can fairly say that over last 18 months, all the incremental highs that the Nifty was making was lacking the internal strength. And the decline that we saw over the past weeks have seen that this 11-year-old uptrend has been violated, as the Nifty has slipped below this trend line, and therefore going ahead we can expect this trend line as a huge resistance, and we can fairly say that the primary uptrend has been disrupted to a large extent. Similar setup or the similar story can also be interpreted using the broader Nifty 500 chart. Now, if we look here, the upper portion of the chart shows Nifty 500, and the lower green line represents the relative strength between the Nifty 500 and the Nifty 50 index. So just like Nifty, the Nifty 500 also made its first high in the beginning of 2018. Until then, and while that was happening, the relative strength line, which is relative strength against Nifty, was also rising. So that means that the broader markets were outperforming the frontline index. So in other words, there was a broader market participation until the first high, that is until the beginning of 2018. Now, after 2018, we can see that the Nifty 500 index had moved sideways, have made multiple tops which it has not been able to breach, and by that time, since beginning of 2018 until today, we have seen that the relative strength line against Nifty has been declining. So it means that all throughout last 24 months, all throughout last 18 months, approximately 18 to 20 months, the broader markets have not participated at all, even when the Nifty was making incremental highs. So this could have been a warning enough that over last nearly 6 quarters, all the incremental highs that we were witnessing in our markets were coming from only small pockets of the stock, and they were devoid of the internal strength, and they were lacking the participation of the broader markets. So what do we expect now? The first conclusion that we can draw from this is there are no second doubts that the Nifty has ended its 11-year long secular uptrend by violating this long trend line, which is red one as shown on the charts. And we fairly know that the support once broken is expected to act as, as resistance. So any kind of pullback that we see going ahead is going to stop near this trend line, which measures at anywhere between 9,800 to the 10,000 mark. We have seen that the Nifty has bounced back nearly 18 to 20% from the recent lows. So what I'm trying to stress is that we cannot say that the uptrend has ended, and what we are witnessing is nothing but a technical pullback in a bear market. So even if the pullback continues and it reaches the 9,800, 9,900 or 10,000 levels, whatever, because the nature of the trend line is rising, so the more time it takes to spends in this range, the resistance levels might keep going little bit higher. So even if it extends itself to 9,800 or 10,000 mark, there should not be construed as a reversal of the trend or a bottom being in place. We will need to closely examine the behavior of Nifty against this red trend line reaches those levels, because that is going to act as a strong resistance over the coming days and months and weeks. One more fundamental thing that has taken place, we can call it a event of technical significance, is that the relation between two major indexes, that is Nifty and Bank Nifty, has been altered. I'll explain why. What you see here is the co-performance chart of Nifty and Bank Nifty. Bank Nifty is represented by the blue line, and the black one is Nifty. So it is very much evident that beginning 2000 2001s, right? I mean, right from the inception of these two indexes, Bank Nifty has always outrightly outperformed the Nifty. It has given a peak returns of around 3,000% just a couple of 1 or 2 months back, while Nifty returned 700% from its inception. And after the correction that we saw, Bank Nifty still stands at a net appreciation of 1,758%, while Nifty stands at 477% from its inception. So what I'm trying to drive home a point is that Bank Nifty has always relatively outperformed the Nifty since its inception. But now it can be for a short term or it can be for a medium to long term, but this relationship is has structurally changed or altered. We will see how it has happened. This chart is the relative strength line of Nifty against Nifty Bank. And we see that since this dates back to around 14 to 15 years, so it's since beginning of 2006. So we see that this relative strength line, which is the relative strength between Nifty against Bank Nifty, has been secularly declining. Not a single time in last 12 to 14 years that it has been in the rising trajectory. This means that this corroborates with our reading that we saw on the previous chart, that Nifty has been underperforming the Bank Nifty all throughout its inception, and this is represented by the relative strength line of Nifty against Bank Nifty, which is secularly declining. So we see that there have been a huge phases of downtrend, not even once that this line has changed its this trajectory or has ever attempted to reverse its trend, to reverse its trend. But now this situation has changed. If we look at this point, first time in its history that there has been a sharp improvement of Nifty against Bank Nifty, and this has been reflected by a steep increase of relative strength line. And there are a couple of things we can also take in as a confirmation, is that not only it has moved above this lower highs that it has formed, it has penetrated the 50-week moving average, which is represented by the dashed blue line. So what I'm trying to make clear is that Nifty has Nifty has historically underperformed the Bank Nifty, but this relationship has been structurally altered by the recent market action, and we will now see Nifty relatively outperforming the Bank Nifty, at least for the coming weeks and months. So the next logical question that comes to our mind is that, have we bottomed out? I'll try and answer to this as well. To answer this question, we will take a look at the global asset allocation model, which shows the performance or the preference of the market participants towards the various asset classes like US dollar or US Treasury bond or gold, for that matter. We have also included realty. We have also included S&P total US stock market ETF, and we are comparing this asset classes against VBINX, that is Vanguard Balanced Index Fund. This is again a weekly picture of last 1 year. We see that gold, then iShares Core US Treasury Bond ETF, US dollar, and iShares Investment Grade Corporate ETF. I mean, all the debt instruments and safe haven assets like gold are very firmly in the leading quadrant and are relatively outperforming all the asset classes. So we see that the investor preference is still very much in the debt and the treasuries and the gold and the corporate high yield bond ETFs. And if you look at the equities here, equities are represented here by, sorry, by this symbol ITOT, which is iShares Core S&P Total US Stock Market. It is still languishing in the lagging segment, lagging quadrant, and secondly, it is still losing its relative momentum against the benchmark, and there are no signs of it even trying to stop its decline and accumulate. So we see that equities are far from getting bottomed out, even after such vicious decline that we have seen. So to conclude this point, equities have not yet bottomed out completely. We will see the first signs of equities getting bottomed out would be when this point slowly it will stop its decline and moves into improving quadrant. That would imply that it has completed its bottoming out process. As of today, equities are nowhere near being bottomed out. So now if we shift our focus back to the equity markets and keep one question aside, that whether we have bottomed out or not, even if we are not bottomed out, it is also essential to know that where does Indian equity markets are when they are compared to the global equity markets, when they are compared to the global peers. So we will again try to gauge this picture, wherein we have taken the MSCI World Index as the benchmark, and we have tried to plot all possible important world markets on this. And we see that the Nifty, that is Nifty 500 index, the broader market, is well moving into the lagging, it has moved into the lagging quadrant, and it is still very much losing its relative momentum as compared to rest of the markets. So even when the equities market starts to do well, starts to perform, we will see that many other markets like S&P 500 index or Hang Seng or Shanghai or for that matter Jakarta, they are all going to relatively outperform the Indian markets. Indian markets are, even within the equity markets, are not likely to give any remarkable show if we compare it against the world markets. This I'm speaking individually, or rather not in relation with the equities getting bottom out or not. Let's forget that for a while. Even if the equities are bottomed out, or even if they are not bottomed out, if we focus only on the equity markets and compare it with the global peers, India is not so favorably placed. It is placed well inside the lagging quadrant. That means that it is still losing relative momentum as compared to the rest of the world market. So Shanghai is the most better placed among entire world markets and is going to relatively outperform all of that, all of the global peers. So we will see better performance from S&P 500, from Straits, from Hang Seng, from DAX, from Nikkei, but they are all going to perform better than the Indian markets. So Indian markets, even within the global peer, are expected to languish over the coming weeks. So what kind of conclusions or observations, or what do we make sense out of all this? The primary trend, which lasted for more than a decade, has abruptly come to an end. So that means that right now we are in the bear market rally. Even if it extends itself until the 10,000 mark, that should not surprise us. But we would still remain in a bear market technical rally, which would be nothing more than a technical rebound. During this phase, the short-term traders and investors should keep protecting profits with each rise that the markets offer. The zone of 7,700 to 8,000 has seen a short-term temporary bottom in place, but by no means the present technical pullback should be construed as an end and reversal of the downtrend. If the Nifty resists to the decade-long trend line that it has violated, it is likely to act as a strong resistance near 9,800 to 10,000 mark. This is likely to push the markets to a greater downside risk, or at least it may put the Nifty into a wide range consolidation. Importantly, during this time, investors, short-term investors and traders will need to stay invested with the sectors or stocks that has a rising and a positive relative strength against the broader Nifty 500, and stay away from the ones which has a declining RS. So if I try and slightly expand the last point, let me show you a couple of sectors which has a rising and a rising trend line, rising relative strength. And we will also see a couple of sectors which has a negative or declining RS. So these are those would be the sectors that we'll need to stay away from. Here we have a pharma, then IT index, FMCG. These three are the relative strength line of these three indexes against CNX 500, which we see that it has now either reversed its downtrend. They are rising and they are well above its 50-week moving average, which is acting as a confirmation. So pharma, FMCG, IT, then comes consumption, energy, and infrastructure. So these are the six sectors whose relative strength line, RS line, is either rising or it has ended its downtrend, and in the process has also penetrated the 50-week moving average, which we can take as the confirmation. So these are the six sectors which are likely to keep relatively outperforming the broader markets over the coming weeks. Now, coming to sectors to which we need to stay away from
Milanji, can you just
are,
conclude in a minute or two?
yeah, are um, Bank Nifty, PSU banks, financial services index, auto index, metals, media, and realty. All these 6 to 7 sectors are the ones which are still in the declining. They have got declining relative strength, and they are showing no signs of bottoming out. So these 6 to 7 sectors are the ones that we need to stay away from. So if you have any questions, I think we are running out of time. So either we can take it here if the time permits, or you can reach out individually to me on my email ID or on Twitter or on LinkedIn. I would be more than happy to try and answer each one of you with your questions. Thank you.
Milanji, the biggest question that has come across is similar to when the relative strength charts came on first. What the quadrant looking chart is. So I'll just jump in and say that the RRG charts are also available on Milanji's website, on stockcharts.com, on All Star Charts India, and they're a very impressive tool and a very useful one. I remember when Julius de Campanier, the inventor of the RRG charts, was in India in November. He spoke at the CMT symposium in Mumbai, and he admitted on stage that I invented these charts and they look this way probably because I was in the Navy or one of the armed forces, but it looks like a radar for that reason. It's a very useful and effective tool. And again, just like the relative strength chart questions, I would encourage everyone to go learn it in a proper way, and then reach out to the speakers who they have all given their Twitter handles and their emails. So reach out to the speakers directly. It's a lot better if you learn this stuff and then use it. And you want to learn it from the right people. That's why we have these conferences. So thank you
Yeah,
so
I
much,
like to
Milanji, for
like to
supporting.
Ayush, I'll interrupt you. I just like to add one sentence that for retail use, relative rotation charts are available with Optuma and StockCharts.com. That's for retail use.